Hello, this is my concept review presentation for Waiting for Godot. A few passage ID bullet points. Obviously, the title of the play is Waiting for Godot. It's written by Samuel Beckett around 1950. It was written a little bit before 1950, but premiered a little bit after 1950. It can be easily recognized in a passage identification question, as it is the only play that we have read, and it's very nonsensical in what occurs, and the dialogue between the characters and the actions that they partake in are extremely repetitive as well. The characters are There's only a handful of characters. There's Vladimir, known as Didi by Estragon. He's the only one who seems to recognize the repetition that keeps occurring, and he seems to suffer from mental anguish throughout the play, and he's partly because he's the only person who can remember anything. Estragon is known as Gogo. He tends to be occupied by the more mundane physical things. He cares about how his feet hurt and getting bored, and he cares about what he's going to be eating. He is much more in the now than Vladimir, who cares about the mental things and cares about not listening to Estragon's nightmares because it makes him feel uncomfortable. Estragon is what Estragon is about is how he feels physically. Pozzo owns Lucky the slave. He is on his way to sell Lucky when he meets Vladimir and Estragon, and throughout the play he does everything over exaggerated, almost as a way to overcompensate for his emotions or something. He In the way he whips Lucky and forces him to dance and think, and in the way he to do a simple task like take off his shoe or tie his shoe or something like that, he would lay down this stool, sit on it, take off his shoe, put it back on, stand up from the stool, get off the stool, and go through way more steps that are necessary for him to do a simple task. Lucky is Pozzo's slave, and although he is treated very poorly, he remains faithful to Pozzo throughout the first and second act. He is pulled by a rope in the first act, but in the second act he pulls Pozzo because he has gone blind, and remains faithful to him, even though at that point Pozzo is really relying on Lucky to keep him safe. The boy in the play, there's only one boy written in the characters of the play. However, the boy in Act 1 and the boy in Act 2, it is unknown if they are the same boy or a different boy. Either way, the boy is polite yet timid, and he only responds with yes sirs and no sirs, and provides brief insights into who Godot is. The boy in Act 1 claims that Godot beats his brother and lets them sleep in the hayloft, and the boy in Act 2 claims that he is not the boy from Act 1, and that Godot possibly has a white beard. Vladimir gets very irate with the boy, claiming that he was there just yesterday and that he's lying. However, the boy doesn't concede to him and dismisses his accusation. Some of the themes they go throughout the novel is repetition. Act 1 and Act 2 are extremely similar, and Act 2 is almost a complete repetition of Act 1. And through the similarities between both, you can kind of understand that before Act 1, the same situations were happening, and after Act 2, the same situations will continue to happen, where Estragon will find his shoes uncomfortable and take them off, where Vladimir and Estragon will look at the tree and think about hanging themselves, and think about how they should bring a rope tomorrow, and how the boy will come and say that Godot is not coming today, but is in fact coming tomorrow. And tomorrow the same thing will occur, where he says Godot will come tomorrow, not today, and then it will repeat and repeat and repeat. The other overarching theme is the nonsense. Beckett himself, when talking about Pozzo's character, said, "I told him that all I knew about Pozzo was in the text, that if I had known more I would have put it in the text, and that was true also of the other characters. So I think what you can gather from this statement is there isn't a lot of underlying depth to Waiting for Godot. A lot of what you see is what you get. And if you put too much thought into Waiting for Godot and trying to find analogies or connections between characters and real life themes, like comparing Godot to God, Beckett himself has said that Godot is not God. However, he has also said that Godot might be God. I think it's just Beckett playing on the nonsense even more, where what he's written is not meant to have a really, really deep meaning. I think the meaning of it might be that there is no meaning, and that's what gives it its value. How this connects to class, one of the topics we covered was high literature versus pleasure literature, literature with a capital L versus literature with a lowercase l, and we talked about how Waiting for Godot may or may not be art. I think if Godot is classified as art, then it fits into the high literature category. And if someone was to categorize it as just a comedy that has no value, then it might be more pleasure literature. But on this definition of art that I have written, I think Waiting for Godot is art and is in fact high literature, because Beckett does use his imaginative and technical skill in writing about nothing and somehow entertaining people and invoking emotions on his audience. And even though his meaning is that there is no meaning in the work, I think that meaning has value and that it should be studied and classified as high literature. So there's a film called Rubber, and it's similar to Waiting for Godot in that it was written all about the nonsense, the no reasons in life. And it's written about a rubber tire that goes on a killing spree in a town. And while that makes no sense, neither does Waiting for Godot. And I think the opening monologue to this film really expresses Beckett's thoughts on nonsense and how the no reasons in the play correlate to the no reasons in real life and where the meaning of the play comes from. So I'm going to play that briefly. Before this scene, the car knocked over several folded chairs in that long driveway, and then the police officer climbed out of the trunk and accepted a cup of water.
In the Steven Spielberg movie E.T., why is the alien brown? No reason. In Love Story, why did the two characters fall madly in love with each other? No reason. In Oliver Stone's JFK, why is the president suddenly assassinated by some stranger? No reason. In the excellent Chainsaw Massacre by Tobe Hooper, why don't we ever see the characters go to the bathroom or wash their hands like people do in real life? Absolutely no reason. Worse, in The Pianist by Polanski, how come this guy has to hide and live like a bum when he plays the piano so well? Once again, the answer is no reason. I could go on for hours with more examples. The list is endless. You probably never gave it a thought. But all great films, without exception, contain an important element of no reason. And you know why? Because life itself is filled with no reason. Why can't we see the air all around us? No reason. Why are we always thinking? No reason. Why do some people love sausages and other people hate sausages? No fucking reason.
Come on, don't waste your time explaining that garbage. Let's go.
Just a minute, let me finish. Ladies, gentlemen, the film you are about to see today is an homage to the no reason, that most powerful element of style.